Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our third recruitment webinar in a row this week. Today, we have the pleasure of having Grainger presenting the webinar. My name is Stephanie Jacobo. I'm the Partnership Engagement Manager at HACE. I've been leading the recruitment webinars for quite some time now, so I'm really glad to see all of you join, and I hope that you all stay engaged throughout the webinar, but also after. So I encourage you to ask as many questions as possible throughout the webinar and take advantage of the resources and the access that we have right now to active recruiters and people that are working at Grainger and would be the ideal people to ask if you have any questions in regards to an opportunity at this company. To tell you a little bit about HACE, for those of you that are new, we are a national nonprofit organization. We are headquartered in Chicago, but we do work across the nation. Our mission and vision since 1982 has been to provide Latinos with different resources to improve and boost their leadership development and gain access to different companies. So we do that across different programming, starting from high school all the way to executive level. So definitely building that the pipeline of the future Latino leaders. So thank you all for joining. If you're interested in any of the other programs that we have going on, such as Mujeres de HACE, which is our fastest growing program across the nation, our leadership program for emerging Latino leaders, please take a look at our website at haceonline.org, and you will be able to find more information on all of these programs. In addition to these recruitment webinars, HACE does make a huge effort to provide monthly career coaching webinars to all of our participants. So if you're interested, especially now that many of you might be working from home and might have some additional time on your hands, we want to encourage you all to think of HACE as a resource during these hard times to help you continue furthering your development. And so we encourage you to join our career coaching, and you can find information about that on our website again. We also have monthly webinars, and those change every month. So next month, our webinar will be a recruiter's insight on how to level up your resume. So if you all are using this time to work on your resume, work on your cover letter, so that by the time things are back and running, you want to start applying, definitely take this as a resource and join our webinar on April 1st. It will be hosted around noon Central Time. So we look forward to seeing you there again. With that being said, I would like to now hand it over to our partners at Grainger. We've had a long-standing partnership with Grainger, and they have been a great asset to HACE. They've been supporting not only our recruitment and talent acquisition, but also some of our leadership development programs. And I know they've been actively investing in the Latinx community to make sure that we are being recruited and that these opportunities are being shared with the community. So thank you, Grainger, for leading this webinar. I will now hand it over to the partners and they will take it over. But again, I want to encourage all of you to ask questions, and then at the end we'll have a Q&A session. And then if you end up applying to any of these jobs, make sure to reach out to me, and I'm happy to send over any referrals to our partners.
Thank you, Stephanie. Really quick check. Can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Stephanie, for the introduction. My name is Colleen Szymanski. I'm part of the talent acquisition team here at Grainger. I would tell you that we are really happy to be with you this afternoon and appreciate you all being on the call to learn more about Grainger. We really appreciate that opportunity. We actually have 3 speakers from different areas of our business today. They will each spend a few minutes talking through their respective organizations. We have Nick Rodriguez from our Inside Sales organization. We have Christian Valdez from our Software Engineering Group, and also Eddie Espinosa from our Supplier Management organization. So each of them will kind of take a few minutes to honestly give you a bit of a peek into the window, so to speak, into their organizations, what they do, what it's like to work here, and also give some perspective around what we look for, honestly, in the skills and experiences for their respective areas, specifically with one or two key roles from their organizations. Really quick, before I turn it over to Nick as our first speaker, just a little bit about who we are here at Grainger. You can see if you're looking at the slide, basically this is our purpose, is to keep the world working. We're the leading business-to-business distributor of industrial supplies with really a vast assortment of products, over 1.5 million products that we offer to our customers, along with a number of services as well. Essentially, the way that I think about it is that we help businesses of all kinds keep their facilities up and running each and every day and keep their team members safe. So that's something that our team members are really committed to doing and work tirelessly as their mission each and every day. And I would say it's you know, times like what we're in right now becomes ever more important in terms of what we can do for our customers and really being committed to that. With that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Nick Rodriguez as our first speaker.
Perfect. Thank you, Colleen. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Well, good afternoon, or I guess good morning, depending on where you're located at and which time zone you're currently in at the moment. I am really excited to be part of this call, be part of this conversation, and for a couple of reasons, really. First, I really feel as a leader in this business, or really any business, it's absolutely important to be a talent magnet, right? In order to help make sure that we improve the diverse thought and the backgrounds that we have within our own organization. And then in addition to that, here at Grainger, you may or may not be aware, but we have business resource groups that our employees can join and take advantage of to share commonalities and differences. And I'm extremely fortunate to have a lead role in how our Latino business resource group really thinks about attracting, developing, and retaining Latino talent in the workforce. So I want to start with a little bit about my background, my Grainger story. So I've been with the company for 7 years, a little over 7 years, and I currently have the privilege of leading one of our inside sales regions. I joined Grainger in 2013. I came in as an outside sales district sales manager. I led a couple of different teams of account managers for a couple of years in our commercial business and then in our manufacturing functions as well. And then prior to joining the inside sales team, I was responsible for leading a region field team focused on providing on-site inventory management services and expertise to our customers. And then prior to joining the Grainger family, I spent most of my professional career at Frito-Lay, which is a PepsiCo division, in different sales and operations roles. So I want to give a high-level overview of our inside sales function. And I've kind of organized this in two separate parts. Kind of first is kind of why we exist, how we support our customers, and then the second is really kind of how we're structured. So Colleen did a fantastic job talking about really our purpose as an organization, right? So this is our enterprise effort around how we support customers and communities. And if you think about our broad assortment of products and our position in the MRO market, we really do play a role in helping to keep the world working. And I think Colleen called it out, what we're going through right now with the whole coronavirus situation is a great example of that. We have been deemed an essential business, and, we are on the front lines efforts of really helping our healthcare and our government entities get the products that they need to make sure that people stay safe through the situation that we're in. So really proud to be working for an organization that can support an effort like this. In sales and across all functions of our business, we really strive to build deep relationships with our customers and really become those go-to partners for their needs, right, and their objectives. And we really do this within the sales function by connecting our different offers, our different services and solutions to what those customer needs and challenges are. So an example of this would really be take for example a glove that a customer might use on a production floor. We don't want to just sell them the glove. We want to actually provide different services to help them make sure that they have the right glove that they're using, and then once they figure out those important items to keep their business running, we want to make sure that we have solutions we tie back to it so that they have those products when they actually need them in terms of inventory management. So for inside sales for us, in terms of like how we represent revenue within Grainger as a whole, we're about 7.8% of Grainger's $11.5 billion in annual revenue. And our focus is really around the medium-sized customer coverage model, covering about 68,000 customers really across the country. And then as you can see on the right from an organization structure, we don't have a ton of layers, which really allows us to stay close to customer relationships, allows us to be very agile when we need to make adjustments. And we've got a total of about 390 sellers and 34 frontline leaders that support 3 different districts within inside sales. And those districts are really kind of organized by different customer segments. As you can see, we've got certain regions that are responsible for government healthcare business and some that are responsible for manufacturing, contractors, resellers, and so on. And you know, the great thing about having segment-focused regions, sellers, and frontline leaders is this really allows us to become experts in certain industries, and then we can bring insights from customer to customer in those certain accounts to bring more value to what they do each and every day. So I want to transition to talk about a little bit more specific around the inside sales associate position and the manager of inside sales role. So I'll start with what we call the ISA. We got an acronym for everything at Grainger, so that's the inside sales associate. This is an individual contributor role. This position is really responsible for managing a customer portfolio of around 200 to 300 customers that deliver anywhere from $1.5 to $2.5 million in revenue per year. This role is in a sales center, so it's a desktop environment, which means all of our customer interactions are virtual with use of phone and email. And because of that, right, it's a virtual role, there's a high use of technology in order to really stay organized and bring relevant information to our customers. This position is a non-exempt hourly role with monthly commission payout based on a performance to sales goal. So some of the responsibilities for this position are really around calendar planning to maximize time on the phone with your customers and making sure that we have the right level of engagement on a regular cadence, finding new contacts within those accounts and leveraging the different internal resources we have within the company to help them solve problems. This role is also responsible for managing a sales pipeline. So taking opportunities that we uncover, getting them put into our Salesforce system, and kind of navigating those through the sales process and helping to deliver that value through our different services and solutions. And then ultimately it's a sales role. So part of the responsibility is making sure that you meet or exceed the sales goal and then the other activity metrics as well. So some of the skills and experience we tend to look for in a candidate for this role is somebody who's goal-oriented, obviously takes a lot of pride in consistently achieving goals. It's a phone seller role, so having strong verbal and written communication skills is important. And it's also important to have active listening because, you know, in this environment, you're not in front of your customer, so you can't actually read body language and everything to navigate the conversation. So listening skills become extremely important. We also look for folks that are able to develop strong customer relationships through building credibility and trust, who strive to really gain a deeper understanding of what their customers do on a day-to-day basis and how we can actually help them. These folks also need to be able to push through obstacles and stay on task really regardless of what the distractions are. And because it's a selling role, you will get told no quite a bit. So you need to be able to kind of handle objections and kind of push through those obstacles along the way. We also look for folks that are open to coaching and really take ownership in their personal and professional development. So I want to talk about the the manager of inside sales now, and I'll kind of do it in a very similar fashion where I'll go over the overview, kind of some responsibilities and some skills and experiences. So this is a leader role that's responsible for about 10 to 13 inside sales associates in a district that delivers 25 to 35 million in revenue a year. And since all the sellers are in a sales leader, this is an office environment type role as well. So there's limited travel and remote work involved with this position. And this role is actually an exempt salary position, and it's very similar to the inside sales associate. There's a monthly commission element that's paid out based on performance to a sales goal as well. So some of the responsibilities in this position, it's a people leader role, so there's obviously a heavy focus on attracting, hiring, and developing talent. In this role, it's important to have a sales management process so that you stay organized as a leader with seller interactions and the activities that really drive the business. And then these leaders are responsible for developing a strategy to grow the business, cascade communication to their teams, and really be a change leader for the organization. And then from a skills and experience, what we typically look for in candidates that are interested in this role is really the ability to assess and prioritize talent and provide clear direction on what those development opportunities may be for their team members. You got to be a good coach and teacher to help team members really kind of develop realistic plans and prioritize what's going to be most important for their business. We look for folks that can adjust their communication style based on the audience, so that situational communication, and making sure that they communicate messages in a clear and concise manner. We also look for folks that are effective at problem solving. And they demonstrate the ability to leverage resources really to get things done while making balanced decisions for what's best not only for the customer but what's best for us as Grainger as an organization. And we also look for folks that are open to coaching, being self-aware around what their personal strengths and opportunities are, and just open to feedback and implementing it along the way to continue to grow in the role that they're in. So I know we're going to have some time for Q&A here in just a little bit, and I'll be open to answering any questions at that point. But at this time, I think I'm turning it over to Christian.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Christian Valdez, and I'm a lead software engineer here at Grainger. Right now, I'm currently on the Keep Stock team, which is primarily an inventory management system team that we work on. And I lead a team of 8 developers and a couple of QAs and a BA, and we're responsible for the entire software lifecycle of our Keep Stock platform. That includes web services and also our front end client portal and some mobile applications. To tell you a little bit about the software engineering side of things, our main business objective is to support business initiatives. This may include new opportunities, enhancing existing user experience, streamlining current processes. The list goes on. In today's economy, there isn't a part of the business that isn't really influenced by our technology strategy. So pretty much every part of the business has something to do with software or data, and we help drive the decisions that the business makes depending on the business trends that they're seeing or any new solutions that they're trying to build in order to get into new customer segments and also to keep up with the changing landscape that we currently have. My team in particular is in charge of our inventory and invoice management platform. And we basically allow our customers to manage their inventory levels. So one of the primary business initiatives that we're supporting for this year is we really want to be able to allow our customers to automatically reorder supplies when they need to without a lot of manual work intervention in the way. The way that we're trying to do this is by creating mobile systems and also web systems that allow them to track their inventory either through scanning or through manual input, but allowing them to get the invoicing and reordering done on their minimum threshold. So they might say that they need 10 of some item, let's say gloves, at any given point. So once that minimum threshold is reached, basically an order is created automatically for them, and they're invoiced automatically, and all of that just happens behind the scenes, and they don't have to have their own manual processes in place in order to do that. So that's the type of business initiatives that we are trying to help our business units solve. Yeah, and we do this through providing a cohesive user experience. So a lot of our web services basically support multiple platforms. So we might have a web platform that you go on through your browser. Then we have mobile platforms that you can use on your phone or your iPad. And then we have custom web services that basically is like IoT, where we have vending machines or other computer communication that has to happen through our web services. So we support all of those. Team ownership. So what a team looks like for us is our teams are usually full stack, meaning that we are in charge for everything from front-end development, back-end development, and our deployment strategy. Teams can be of any size. Pretty much we have teams that are like maybe 6 to 7 people, all the way up to 20, 25, and they are of mixed skills. So in order to do full stack development, we need experts pretty much across the range of things that we might do. So we might have some people that are really skilled in back-end development, some that are really skilled in front-end development, and some that are really skilled when it comes to site resiliency and site reliability. But while we're doing all that work, we tend to work in pairs, or in pairs of two, so that we can transfer knowledge easily between each other, and we can all learn from each other. That's one of the main things that we try to push for on our teams is, hey, let's create cross-functional teams. Even though you're an expert maybe on JavaScript and some JavaScript frameworks, we want people that maybe aren't as comfortable working with those frameworks to get that experience, so they can also become comfortable working on any part of the platform that we might need work to be done on. Let's see. What's the next slide? So systems. Yeah, so then after that, I guess onto the next slide. Yeah, so we're looking for pretty much any level of software and data engineers. When it comes to the skill set for either or, they tend to be pretty similar. We're looking for people who just have a drive for technology and want to really engage with like Agile and XP practices, and they really want to like further have continuous delivery is like one of their main functions. So basically, we want people that have experience in software development lifecycle full stack, and when it comes to like the processes that we follow, they tend to be Agile processes. So people that are familiar working in pairs, people that enjoy doing that kind of work, people that like to test, do TDD or test-driven development, and also people that are well versed in either an object-oriented paradigm or in a functional paradigm. When it comes to data engineering, I think a lot of our teams tend to focus more on the functional paradigm. So people that enjoy building in Python and in functional languages, that's primarily one of the main things that we'll be looking for there. All of our teams pretty much work in the same manner. So like my regular day involves waking up, then we go to stand up. Stand up is the first meeting of the day, and that's pretty much where we get together and discuss the things that we had done the day before, things that we're going to do today, and if anyone needs help with anything, if anybody has any blockers, anything that's in their way to get their current tasks for the day done. So this is a time where anything like that comes up, we address it as a group. And then during stand-up, there might be other things that come up that maybe a smaller group needs to address. that might be a technical discussion. We hold that for after stand-up. Everybody can get to working on what they need to work on for the day. But then we have other side discussions to discuss some architecture piece or something that is holding back, some technology that might be holding somebody back on what they're trying to achieve, and see if we can figure out a way to resolve those problems. The majority of our day is spent pair programming. Not all of our teams do this, so pair programming is somewhat controversial in software development. Basically, if you haven't heard of it, pair programming is where you and one more person are always looking at the code at the same time and basically using the same keyboard and same code base and same monitor basically to do the work together. This drives a lot of conversation during the coding process. So when it comes to making decisions, there's usually a lot of conversation between you and your pair. And somebody's usually writing a test and the other one's writing some code, and you're challenging each other as you go along in order to drive out the correct design and the correct architecture for that piece of code. TDD is basically something that just goes back with pair programming. A lot of times when we're pair programming, we're also making sure that we are writing tests for every piece of code that we write in order to have assurances that if someone does come back and change this later, we know what the effects will be. The testing is more to drive knowledge of the code base and make sure that we know what the system is doing at any given point in time, rather than to make sure that the system is correct. So you can look at tested development as more of a way to document your code. And then we have a strong feedback culture on our teams. So we want to make sure that all the devs and all of our team members are basically getting feedback at the right time to know, especially depending on where they want to grow. So depending on if you want to become a better front-end developer, what are the things that you need to do to get better at becoming a better front-end developer? Well, these are some of the skills that you might want to try and improve. If you want to get better at site reliability, we'll talk about those things and maybe set some goals around that and give each other feedback, usually on a weekly basis, depending on who you're working with, to just learn, well, whether you're working well together, not working well together, and if the work that we're doing is actually beneficial towards the goals that you have set for yourself for the year. Yeah, other things that we like to do outside of just our daily, basically building and testing software is we like to grow in other areas. So we do a lot of lunch and learns. So there's so much going on in this technology space at the moment. So people like to play around with things on the side or in their own time. So we like to do lunch and learns in order to introduce new technology to different team members. And it's also a great time for team members to work on their leadership skills or their like speaking abilities. So we'll have a lunch and learn maybe once a month on varying topics. Anybody can say that they want to have a lunch and learn, and we will help sponsor that. We'll try to get lunch for everyone and basically allow the person to come to talk about any topic and see how that can be useful for the organization as a whole. I think we want to do more of that also at conferences. So there's a lot of conferences out there, and we're doing a lot of really cool things with technology, especially when it comes to continuous delivery and moving to cloud-based development pretty much on any push. Anytime that we commit any code, we want to try and get it out there as fast as possible. That's a trend that a lot of people are moving towards, but it's very difficult to do in an enterprise level. So we want to get people out there that are on our teams that are getting these experiences and have them in the community talking and seeing how other people in the community might be doing things, and also helping other organizations within the community move towards a more continuous delivery type practice. And finally, there are, within our group, we also have like tailored career growth paths. So this is something that was introduced late last year. And basically, there's different levels of either software engineering or data engineering, and they each have paths, which are basically different technologies with different architectures that you should be learning as your career is evolving. So in the beginning, so like if you're a software engineer 1, you might be focused primarily on how to use Git, how to use a language, so how to use Java, how to use different tools that we use every day, but not necessarily as focused on bigger picture architectural issues, as in how you organize certain bits of code. So as you progress and you move on to software engineering 2, then your curriculum changes, and then there's a curriculum for you to learn about MVC models or about different architectural patterns when it comes to web development, things of that nature. And they're all set up and structured, and basically all of the materials that are necessary for you to complete the track are provided to you either through Pluralsight or through books and things of that nature. And I find it to be really helpful because it gives you some structure around things that will help you grow in your career when it comes to the job that we're trying to accomplish. And I think that's all I have.
Hey, Christian, really quick. So you were the majority of these roles, are they all in the city of Chicago at the Mart, or are some of them also in Lake Forest?
I believe the majority of them are at the Mart.
Okay, that's what I figured.
In Chicago.
Okay, great. All right, thank you, Christian, and thank you, Nick, as well. We'll go ahead and move forward. Again, we'll have time for Q&A at the end. Is Eddie on the line?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Hi, Eddie. Yeah, we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Eddie Espinosa. So I'm one of the directors within our supplier management organization. So I'll be able to walk you through what that means and the availability of roles that we have within our organization. Yeah, so if you could do the next 3 clicks to get through the 3 bullets that'll pop up. One more. All right, perfect. All right, so supplier management for Grainger, really what that means is we are the front line and main contact for our supplier community, right? So at Grainger, we're not a manufacturer, we're a distributor. And so within our world, we oversee the entire supplier community relationships, right? So we're the face to those suppliers. A good example and a real example today would be, and Nick mentioned this, right, with the coronavirus pandemic we have going on. I have a supplier manager that's dedicated to Gojo and to Rubbermaid and to Georgia Pacific and Kimberly-Clark, addressing all the pandemic items that are in critical need right now, and how do we quarterback that to get those products out to our customers with support from our sales force and partnering up with individuals such as Nick and his organization. So currently supplier management, we're overseeing 1.5 million of our products. That spreads across 4,800 suppliers, our national domestic brands, and then we have private brands, or what you may know as an exclusive brand, that are sole brands to our Grainger business. With that, we're partnering with our supplier performance business partners who are helping us ensure that product is getting delivered on time, it's getting delivered accurately, right? So those business partners include inventory management, transportation, our DC operations and engineering teams, as well as our branch network, making sure that we have product on the shelves if it's a third-party item, making sure that our suppliers can deliver those products within the expected lead times that are set. And then overall, we focus on our cost of goods sold, revenue, our GP dollars. Those are really big metrics that we go after within supplier management. So currently, I am one of 3 directors. Each one of us oversees about $3 billion of the Grainger portfolio. And within that, we are expected to grow our gross profit, grow our revenue, and then ensure that we can manage our cost. And then I'll speak to that. That's a big part of what we do as well. And then we're looking at unit volume, right? Making sure that if sales are going up, it's not just because of prices going up, it's because we're moving product and more product every month, more and more every year. If you could go to the next slide. Right. So when you look at career opportunities within supplier management, we have 2 key roles. The supplier manager and then our supplier management analyst. And when you talk about, or when I would talk about kind of how would I describe these roles, I won't read through the entire slide, but I'll make sure I touch on some key pieces here. So the supplier managers, it's not an entry level role. This is a salary role with quite a bit of experience that needs to be brought into the role. But wanted to share this role in case someone out there has this experience or is interested in trying to grow into a role such as this. So every supplier manager oversees, has responsibility for overseeing a certain set of suppliers within a specific, what we would call a desk. So on my team, I have a janitorial desk, I have a material handling desk, I have a hospitality desk, a packaging desk, and so forth. There are 9 of those desks under me. Each supplier manager oversees around 200 to 300 supplier relationships. And then within that, we prioritize or stratify who do we partner up with the most, who are our strategic suppliers, who are our buy and sell suppliers. And then from there, we can determine where do we want to build and grow a supplier relationship? Where do we want to focus our time on in terms of where do we want to add new products? Who do we want to build a strategic opportunity with? Who do we want to get closer to our sales organization? And then who do we want to say, hey, let's start to build a new partnership, right? Maybe it's a new supplier that hasn't worked with Grainger before, but we want to bring them into our supplier community and grow with them. And we do that by understanding what are our customer needs, what is that voice of customer? Sometimes that comes from the sales organization. Many times it comes from our merchandising business partners who are out there looking to see, hey, what new products are out in the market? What do we need to bring into our portfolio? What needs to be replaced? Maybe there's products that are no longer a good fit for Grainger, or actually the manufacturer stopped producing it and there's a new alternate product out there. So we focus on bringing those products into our network and ensuring that we can get the right product information, get the right supply chain information, so that we can move that product into our network and then into the hands of our customers. Now, the last bullet for supplier manager is, if you look at it, it says manage cost pressure. This is a big part of our role. I would say that we spend about 75% of our time managing costs. And what that means is we decide which suppliers we want to work with and build those relationships with, right? They get signed up into a contract, and every year a supplier is allowed to come back to Grainger and ask for a cost increase from the prior year. Our goal is to, I guess, in the easiest way is to mitigate that cost increase, right? Fight it off. Why? So we do a really good job of kind of going into that curious mindset of, why would I give you a cost increase? Are those materials going up in cost? Are they, is the market growing? Is the market going down? Is steel going up? And there's a lot of quite a bit of steel within that product. So it's heavy negotiation. It's probably one of the neatest things that I've seen from this team is managing our costs. We do a very good job at it. We have very strict processes that we follow. We do cost training. So every year we put our team through a cost training exercise that spans a couple of months to really build strong negotiators within our network. And it's pretty neat to do. So you're managing the supplier relationship, and then you're also managing the supply chain and managing the cost pressure. So it's a quarterback type of role, and then also working with sales business partners such as Nick and others within his organization. On the supplier management analyst side, this is a role that is, I wouldn't say entry level, but it's our closest role to being entry level. This role is supplying information and analytics to the supplier manager. So there are these are all one-to-one direct report relationships. So each supplier manager has one supplier management analysts supporting them. And in this role, they're looking to supply the supplier manager with analytical information, market information, even competitor information, right? So we may go on, online and look at our competitors, and are they selling the same products? If so, at what price? Do we know what's going on within commodities? Is steel going up? Is copper going up? I'll give you another example right now with the existing coronavirus pandemic. The cost of alcohol is starting to increase. So we need to go understand, is that across the entire market? Is it just across a couple suppliers? Or is there a specific raw material outside of alcohol that is part of a formula that is making that cost go up? So a lot of investigative work from a marketing perspective, competitive pricing, heavy analytics, as well as really helping us put stories together and presentations together so that we can go build onto those supplier relationships, as well as negotiate with facts. So when you look at skills and experiences that we look for supplier manager, definitely a financial background and a strategic mindset, someone that can interact well with vice presidents and senior vice presidents and CEOs of other companies, knowledge of negotiation, is willing to pull people together from the Grainger side and the supplier community to have a strategic conversation within whether that's over the phone or in person. We have a lot of our meetings at our Lake Forest facility in Chicago, because since that is our headquarters, we have a lot of our suppliers come in there. And then it's just a good understanding of company financials, whether it's obviously ours, or whether it's on the supplier side. You want to make sure that you have a good foundation of understanding sales, COGS, and profit margin. When it comes to the supplier management analyst role, again, very strong analytical skill sets, ability to communicate with all levels. They're also in those key leadership meetings, providing insight. They're not handled after a conversation. From an overall perspective, the supplier management team is based out of our Chicago downtown office and our Lake Forest headquarters. Within our supplier management analyst group, we do allow that to be a remote location role. Both of these roles are salaried, and they're able to kind of work remotely very well. We're actually doing that today in today's coronavirus situation. So we were pretty comfortable going into this situation because we've done that in the past. So there is some flexibility within the SM to be focused out of Chicago or Lake Forest, just because this is our home base for Grainger. Kind of walk through that a little bit quick, but want to make sure we had time for questions.
Hey, Eddie, really quick though, the supplier management analyst.
So I'll hand it over back to you, Colleen.
Yeah, I was just going to ask a quick question. You mentioned that, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, you mentioned that supplier management analyst can be virtual. Are those folks are they literally scattered across the United States?
Majority of them are in Chicago, but we have some in Wisconsin, Ohio, Texas, and a couple other states. So it just depends on where that individual lives, and if they fit the profile, then we're more than happy to have that as a remote.
Yeah. Okay. All right, great. Thank you very much. So at this point, we'll actually open it up to Q&A. We've got actually, in addition to the four of us, we have a number of folks on the line also from our talent acquisition team to help field questions as necessary as well, based upon kind of their areas of focus. So Stephanie, I think, are you kind of moderating the chat for questions?
And read out any questions that we get. I do have one question right now. So given the fact, and I know you briefly touched base on this, is with COVID-19, does the interview process currently look like, and how long does it normally take?
Yeah, so I'll answer this kind of as a general response. So certainly with the current pandemic situation, we're all working remotely, right, and have made that adjustment, and we're doing the same with the interview process as well. So we are leveraging our Microsoft Teams platform to do virtual video interviews during the current state of affairs. And then I would say too, like in terms of just the length of the process, it really kind of depends upon the position. A lot of our roles will have 2 to 3 rounds, depending upon the level of interviews that take place for a specific position. And our goal is to get through those processes quickly, depending upon, you know, the availability of our various team members. Anything that the TA team on the line would add for your areas in terms of kind of length of time?
Yeah, Colleen, this is Lee. I handle the strategic account managers and district sales managers. So for the sales organization, in that capacity, I would say we too try to move pretty quickly. Our normal interview process would be a face-to-face with at least 2 leaders within the team or within that part of the organization. And from there, we would go to a final interview with the RSVP, which is typically a 30-minute phone conversation. So depending on, again, taking people out of the field and working with multiple schedules, it could probably take up to a week to 2.5 weeks, depending. But we try to move really quickly, especially when we've got great talent.
Thanks, Lee. I recognize that some parts of the business might have a little bit different look and feel to the process. Anything that anybody else would add for some additional context?
Hi, Colleen, this is Shannon. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Hi. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Shannon Musa. I support a few areas of the business. Typically, I support our marketing group as well as a portion of our Grainger technology group, more on the digital creative side of things. And we also move pretty quickly. We know really strong talent, you know, is hard to find and doesn't stay around too long. So we typically try to have, you know, usually a phone interview to start, and then we try to have all of the face-to-face meetings, typically with 3 to 4 people in one visit if we can, followed by a decision. So it's often pretty quick.
Awesome. Thank you, Shannon.
Perfect. I'm getting a few other questions, and some of these are very specific, but I'll go ahead and ask them. So I have a participant that is looking for positions. She has an occupational safety background, so she's asking if there's any positions that you think would be a good fit aside from specific safety roles.
I'm guessing occupational safety. I'm thinking maybe Lindsay. Would that be your area?
She may be on mute. Lindsay, are you on mute?
She is.
There we go. I'm on mute.
There you are.
Yeah, it's not in my area. Stephanie, is it on yours?
I know that we've had some safety manager roles that are, or environmental health and safety roles that sit on site in our distribution centers across the country. And then we've had some field safety specialist positions that would probably be the closest that I can think of for that area. I would check out titles in those 2 types of positions.
Hi, this is Leslie. I support the customer service group as well as our global supply chain. I couldn't unmute myself fast enough, so I apologize. So to echo Stephanie, definitely the EHS, environmental health and safety positions in our distribution centers. There's one on each site at each DC. In addition, kind of more of a niche role, we do hire safety individuals for our technical product support teams. So a lot of individuals come in from kind of a safety background or a laboratory background, and they are assisting our customers over the telephone in product selection, product application, or just standard kind of EH&S kind of safety practices. And those are located within our customer service centers.
Okay.
Is there anything open right now, Leslie?
There is not anything open at this time. However, it is something that I continue to pipeline for. So I'm happy to speak with that individual offline as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. I have another member that is from San Antonio. So she's asking if there's any jobs that you're offering there, or if not, then also a question that I had is, since you mentioned the majority of your jobs are in Chicago, do you offer like relocation packages for those that are interested in applying or are from out of state?
So let me jump in really quick here, and then I'll turn it over to the recruiting partners. But I didn't get a chance to clarify the locations of where we're at in inside sales. So we actually have one region that's actually based in our Chicago Lake Forest facility, but then we have two regions that are based in San Antonio. So we have our facility in San Antonio has about 300 sellers in that particular facility. So that could be a potential option as well. So hopefully that provides a little clarification on that side.
Thank you for clarifying.
I would add too, just in terms of the relocation question, it's really role specific. So it would depend upon each particular role. That's something that we could certainly elaborate on for a specific opportunity. Was there the San Antonio question, was that specific to a particular area or skill set?
She didn't specify, but perhaps
Okay.
she can. Yeah, she said thanks for clarifying the information. So.
Okay, great. Yeah, inside sales, obviously, as Nick said, is in San Antonio. We have a number of field-based positions that would also be based throughout the country, including Texas. That could be sales, it could be within our branches, etc.
Okay, and it looks like she is looking for HR recruiting.
Okay. Potentially. I would say let's connect offline. We could connect her with the right individual to talk about anything that might be available.
Awesome. I'm getting another question. So do you have any roles in production area or manufacturing and engineering roles?
So nothing in manufacturing. Being a distributor, we aren't actually producing any product, but we partner with vendors who manufacture from various other companies. On the engineering side, anything from the team to elaborate around engineering skill sets?
Hey, Colleen, this is Eddie. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, so exactly as you mentioned, right? We're not manufacturing any products. We actually do have an engineering group. They're actually based out of Mundelein, Illinois, which is right next door to our Lake Forest headquarters facility. It is specific to engineering. They all have engineering backgrounds. It's a pretty small group. I would say probably no larger than 15. But it is based out of Mundelein, and they help us with our private brand products, as well as doing a process called a cost transparency, where they break down product from a manufacturer, and then we, from the supplier management side, go in and look at that breakdown to understand what does that product probably and truly cost, so that helps us in our negotiation conversations.
Great, thank you, Eddie.
Not sure if that helps out. Small group, but there is one that exists.
Okay.
I'm getting more of a comment, and then some advice that you could give them. So I have a participant that actually just applied to the supply manager analyst position. Is there any advice that you can provide to them to help their resume stand out, or any tips on how to follow up with that?
Yeah, you know, if we want to take that offline, Colleen, I don't know if we can get that individual my email information, and then they can reach out to me and I can set up time to have a discussion with them.
Yeah, so What I do too is I provide my email, and then if they send me their email and the confirmation of application, I can forward that to the partners. Would that work too?
That's great.
Okay, so I'll make sure to provide my email at the end of this webinar, so stay tuned.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Let me just look at these questions. Are there any jobs related to IT that are remote in Florida?
Technology team want to weigh in here?
Sorry,
Hi,
I
this
was
is
on mute. This is
Teresa.
Shannon. Oh, go ahead, Teresa.
I was just going to say, as far as technology positions available in Florida, I would ask if they can reach out to me directly. I would have to check with my colleague who works on positions in that area.
Okay, so we're looking for remote or based in Florida. I just want to make sure I'm understanding. We do have some roles more technical in Jacksonville. Is that right, Teresa? But I believe they're
Yes,
non-remote. You have to be, based in Jacksonville. Most of our other IT-related roles, I believe, are typically required the majority of the time in office, either in Chicago or Lake Forest. That's my understanding. But we do have some help desk roles and things of that nature in Jacksonville.
Alrighty, those are all the questions. She said, okay, perfect. So those are all the questions that I have right now. So I see that you pulled up the additional information. So Colleen has been our contact here. So if you want to reach out to her with any additional follow-ups, I would encourage you all to do so. Any other comments that any of you would like to make?
Yeah, if I can just interrupt real quick. Again, Lee Scott, Senior Talent Acquisition for Account Managers. As you can, I guess they can see the screen right now. The jobs.grainger.com does give you the capabilities to go in and set an alert so that you can put in what city and state you're looking for. And anytime we post a position, it will alert you. So I would encourage everyone who is looking, that gives you great line of sight to where we have openings across the organization, across the US, and in other areas. So I would definitely encourage you to check that out.
Thanks, Lee.
You're welcome.
I would just add quickly, thank you to our speakers and for sharing some perspective today. Thank you for the Q&A and just for the opportunity to engage with everybody this afternoon. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. I appreciate the invite.
Thank you all for your partnership. We definitely look forward to continuing working with you. And for the partners or for the members that joined today, here is my contact information. As I mentioned, ASE always strives to be a resource to any of you and all of you. So if you have any additional questions and any additional resources that you might need, please reach out to us. We're here to help you. And as far as if you do end up applying to any of those jobs, please let us know. Send us your email and the confirmation of that application, and I'm happy to send it over to Colleen and whoever is the right contact for that. So I definitely encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity to make sure that your resume and your application is highlighted. So thank you again all for joining, and I look forward to continuing working with you.
Awesome.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.